Good evening, Guardians, and welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I am your host, Josh, filling in for Corey tonight. And, we kept him away last week. We just can't keep doing it. Please welcome back our Titan who was auditioning to be the captain of the tower, A1 Johnny.
Well, thank you for having me back. I'm sorry you guys have to put up with Dollar Store Zavala again, but here we are.
That's right, Dollar Store Zavala. For those of you who don't know, we've had a running joke that our guests, since Corey has been out, have all ironically been Titans to join Nerd Generalist and myself. He is not here tonight. He is on parenting duty. So it's just going to be me and a Titan, like always. We're slowly inching our way back to normalcy. But we got a great show for you guys tonight. We're going to talk about that spicy Schwab. We're going to talk about all the latest with Transmog, with shaders, with Nightfall weapons, and then we're going to talk a little bit about Grandmasters while we're talking about those weapons. Kind of fits in perfectly with our topic of the week, which is the final in our series of Endgame and Endgame rewards. So let's go ahead and get to it. John, what's your favorite drops real quick? If you've got one, hit me with it.
Honestly, I haven't been playing very much the past couple weeks because I knew I was going to grind out the rest of my seasonal challenges with Guardian games. But I did pick up finally a Killing Wind Rampage brass attacks, and I forgot how fun it is to run around Crucible with a sidearm. Everyone's got their fell winners, but a good sidearm, man, is it just good counterplay.
I will forever be upset that they fixed the sunsetting after they already sunset Last Hope.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that weapon makes a return down the line. I like Fool's Remedy, but it's not quite the same. I like the first on Last Hope a lot better.
Do you like a Last Dance? I believe is sister gun.
It's
different rolls on it, but
Last Dance it just feels a little weird for me. So I had Feeding Frenzy Rampage, I want to say, on my Last Hope.
Okay.
I had a really good roll. I mean, it got to the point where I was taking that into trials sometimes over taking my Jotun. So that's how I really like a gun.
Yeah, and that's that 3 burst, right?
Yeah, it's that solid 3 burst, but it didn't have quite as much of a kick as Fool's Remedy. It was practically a laser, man. Especially after the update to consoles. I was really upset that it got sunset, but I had made peace with it. Then, of course, they undid sunsetting like 2 weeks later, and I was like, well, can we retroactively bring that gun back, please?
Funny enough, that's actually the exact reason that I love Brass Attack so much, because I lost my Deprecious Breachlight, and that was the only 2-burst aggressive frame in the game.
I did love my Breachlights. Yeah. You actually got me running that a lot. I was pairing that with Jotun a lot in trials.
Yep.
I was liking that.
This one's in the energy slot, but it's the same frame as Breachlight.
Right. For me this week, I mean, we're going to take a trip into the Eververse again. I got that sweet Hunter set. I really like the Hunter armor for Guardian games this year.
It's something. It's bright.
That cloak is abrasive up close. It is really hard to pair with almost anything.
I feel like I need to put on sunglasses when I land at the tower, because there's at least 4 to 6 hunters standing right in front in the podiums, all rocking that giant gluey cape.
It's great. I like it. It's just goofy enough for me. I really want to match it with my Deepstone Crypt armor.
Yeah.
With the hollow panels coming off. I think it'll work really good with that. But I am rocking it right now. I got the bomber jacket back on. Got to have that going. I really like that. I'm working on the Heir Apparent Catalyst, hoping to have it next week. Because that's really the only thing I'm chasing in Guardian games. Once I have that, I'm out. Once I have that,
another hunt off the job. I love to see it.
Yeah, I want to get my Sparrow. I want to get my shaders you can earn from it. Want to be able to get my jacket from Bungie rewards and then be out of there. Jacket is not for me, by the way. I have vehemently said how much I do not like that jacket on this show. I'm coming around on it, but my girlfriend really wants it, so I want to get it for her.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it, but like we discussed before, privately, I live in Oregon. It's constantly raining, so a jacket without a hood.
Oh, it's a death sentence.
Yeah, no.
I am hoping that, because it says it's all polyester, so I'm really hoping that means it's more of a windbreaker.
Yeah.
If this is a windbreaker and it's not fleece, I will absolutely buy it.
Yeah.
But of course, you don't know that until you go ahead and buy it, so you're gambling either way.
Yeah, at least they make good quality stuff,
Right, I'm kind of holding out.
This jersey, this is high quality jersey right here.
Dude, I've never bought. Well, I shouldn't say never. in the last several years, really since shortly after or right around the time Forsaken came out, they must have switched who they did their t-shirt printings with, because everything has just been so much better. It's not screened on, it's like actually like in the shirt.
It's not that crap that's going to wash off in 4 months.
Right. Which was our original Moments Triumph shirts way back when. Were like that. The emblems were coming off.
Yeah.
On the sleeves, and that's why I swore I would never buy another one. And then I found out that they were, it was like in the fabric of the shirt. And I was like, oh my, I don't know what the terminology for that is, but I was like, oh, this is so much better. I'll pay $20-$25 for that gladly.
Absolutely.
But that's exactly why I never get my gamer tag put on my shirt for anything like that, because I still think that looks really bad. I think like iron-ons look real bad, but printed on looks way better. So I did just get the Hawkmoon shirt in, and I really like that. I like wearing long sleeves with shorts in the early months in the summer.
I feel you there.
Other than that, though, I mean, not a whole lot that we're chasing. There's no legendary weapon to get out of this. We kind of litigated this point last week, where we were saying we really think there should be a legendary weapon to chase rolls on for each of these events. They do it for Halloween and Christmas. Why not add Guardian Games and Solstice into that as well?
Yeah, and I get what they're doing with Heir Apparent. It's cool that the winning class gets their emblem on the gun, for the next year.
Yeah, and that is cool. I do like that. I mean, so I shouldn't complain too much. We do have an exotic to earn, but for those of us who already earned it, it's like, oh boy, we get a catalyst for a gun there's not a place for in the end game.
Yeah, it's a really neat gun. It's so cool. It's not going to take my exotic slot unless I'm goofing. The only thing I like to use it for is mayhem. I'll go top tree Dawnblade, spam heavy, and then just eat a grenade and fly through the air like a fortress.
I will admit I have taken it into some of the class specific strikes. There's nothing funnier than 3 hunters running Heir Apparent.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty great. But have you played any Guardian games at all, John?
I hopped in for one evening this week. I've been pretty busy. I wanted to jump in more this weekend, but I did jump in on some Titan strikes. I did take care of a couple bounties just to play around, make some laurels. I love making builds that abuse what we need to do here. For me, it's the Titan sunspots.
Right.
Using those, I mean, you punch one thrall in a doorway where they're going to spawn, and they just keep running into that fire tornado, that sunspot. Just sit back, pop an emote, and watch the laurels drop.
For hunters, it's get your arc staff builds out.
Yep.
Last year we all went and farmed Altars of Sorrow. This year it's go hang out in either Devil's Lair or in Insight Terminus and just beat the shit out of everything. It's fantastic. I've gotten so many laurels already in the first couple days. I like the addition of the contender cards. I think that adds a little bit of a twist onto it. I really like the class specific strikes.
Yep.
As I was telling Nerd Generalist earlier, though, I really wish that this is the one time where I'm like, man, I should probably be playing a different class, because it's not fun to see like multiple hunter axes flying or golden guns. Like, I mean, if you can all like Celestial Nighthawk a boss, that's kind of cool. But other than that, it's like, I'd rather see Nova bombs and yeets going off nonstop.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, loading into a strike with three big
hammers,
or 3 falling star. It's like, man, this normal difficulty strike boss has no chance. He might as well sleep.
I like that. That's obviously the intent here, is to have a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah,
I like that some of the shaders are earnable through this. Obviously, one of the exotic sparrows. You can earn the emblems from this year and last year. Heir Apparent Catalyst. I think there's plenty of earnable cosmetics.
Yeah, and another source of Bright Dust bounties. It's not a super exciting, but it is something, if you're going to put time into it, you can get rewards back.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not going to touch the repeatables.
Yeah.
I just have no interest. I'd rather go get a contender card at that point.
Yeah.
I might do some later on, like if they're strike specific, but I'm feeling pretty burned out on the season. I kind of want to take it real slow these last couple weeks. That's why I was like, I want to just take the weekend, get my stuff finished out, and then I'll come back for closing ceremony.
Yeah, and honestly, that's why the last 2 weeks I really haven't played much, because I knew I wanted to play some of the Guardian games. So I was like, okay, I'll go do other stuff, play some other games, catch up on some real life stuff, and then we'll start ramping up in Guardian games as we start getting hyped for the next season. You know.
Right. I know both of us were playing some Outriders. I've been dabbling in Borderlands with our friend Nerd. Yeah, I've just been playing a lot of multiplayer games, kind of trying to play things I never got to or that are brand new. Played a little bit of the show, but we're gonna go ahead and get into this TWAB, John. Because
did something happen in the 12? I haven't heard anything on Twitter.
I was unaware that it published as early as it did until you actually messaged me.
Yeah, I was surprised. I just saw people. I think it was Paul Tassi. I saw with a clip of it. I'm like, wait, is the 12 out already? It's like 11:30.
Yeah, so we're gonna skip over this part about Nightfall weapons. We're gonna circle back and let that segue into our next conversation. The meat of this is about armor synthesis and shaders.
Give it to me, Josh.
All right, so obviously we all know 801 is coming back. Okay, you look at some of these preview screenshots, some of the combinations of armor. It's dope. Okay, it's from from a build in progress, from a demo build. Things will look different. The steps you need to take. Okay, so we're gonna go through everything, and then we're gonna break down our thoughts and the community's reactions to this.
Okay.
The steps you must take to convert your armor appearance into a universal ornament. Defeat enemies to earn Synth Strand. Spend Synth Strand on bounties to earn Synth Cord. Convert Synth Cord at the loom in the tower into Synth Weave. Use Synth Weave to convert an unlocked armor appearance, legendary quality or below, from collections into a universal ornament. Okay. First things first.
Why?
What the fuck? What the fuck is this? This is just one of those things that I think you look at and you go, this is about 3 steps more complicated than it needs to be.
Yes, I have been screaming from the rooftops because this is how every seasonal activity, not the activity, but how we acquire loot every season.
Yep.
This is how complicated it is or more, and I don't know why. I've tried to explain the hammer charge system to at least 5 people, and it sounds ridiculous. Okay, so
I will say the hammer charges have been infinitely better than the fucking lure of Season of the Hunt.
Yeah. But honestly, the lure was simpler. You go play activities and then you
load
up.
The lure was just ridiculous. Like you had to buy certain mods for it, and like they expire. And I just like if you didn't cheese it in like that first week or two, then you were really up a creek, and then you realize there's only like 3 weapons to get.
Trying to bring someone into the season, and it's like, okay, so you need your Cabal gold, and then you need to put it in the hammer, and then you need to go run the activity, and you need to break it open at the end, and that charges it. Well, now we go to the decoder machine. Yeah. To, and it's just like, my God, why is it this complicated? This is just another.
This is another one of those things. So I want to be really clear. I have no problem with the first 2 steps: defeat enemies to earn Synth Strand.
Yep.
And then spend it on a bounty.
Pick up a bounty. Yeah.
The problem is when that bounty is done, it should just go ahead and automatically give you the thing you need for the.
Yep. Give me the.
I have no problem with even. I think going back to the tower it's another thing, and it would not be an 801 quest without having to go back to the tower. I understand why that is though. Like they want you to interact with her. There's probably gonna be a story element to the loom, whatever. Okay, fine. I can humor myself because I'm going to hold on to several of those before I do it, or I'll only turn them in when I'm already at the tower. Yeah. When I'm going down to go see Uncle Drifter, or when I'm going up to go see, Hawthorne before I yeet her off the building. So that's the only time that I'm ever going to go over there. I'm not going to consciously say, oh, I just finished this and turned it in. I need to run back to the tower right now.
Yeah.
This is 2 or 3 more steps than it needs to be. But... Yeah. So this has people riled up, okay? But this is not the crux of it, okay? A sample of the bounties that you're going to have to do, and these are all things that we are already doing, so I don't understand why the rage is really coming in. You are already completing playlist strikes using specific subclasses. You are already accumulating points in Nightfalls. You are capturing zones in control. You are completing matches and defeating opponents as a team with specific damage types. You are defeating blockers and sending blockers. You are beating envoys, primevals, and high values.
Or finishing
you might
a
not
raid.
be doing are destinations and raid/dungeons. But
Yeah.
even that, they're trying to give you a reward for going in and doing content that you might not be thinking to do, or maybe you just don't do that often.
Or you're just someone who that's what you do. You log in every week to raid with the boys. You can still be working towards this new system. You know,
and they make it really clear. Like, for example, the example they use is Crucible. If you only want to play Crucible, you can do that.
Yeah.
So I'm having a hard time understanding why this part is a bad thing. However, what comes afterwards is where I start understanding.
And I feel like the rage at this thing we're about to get into is what is leading to all the nitpicking of everything else.
I think it is too. I feel like in a lot of ways. Oh, let's go ahead and read it, and then because we both have some thoughts on this. How many of these can you earn? Players may earn up to 10 synth weave per class per season, except in Season of the Redacted. To celebrate the introduction of armor synthesis in Season of Redacted, players may earn 10 additional synth weave per class through the introductory experience. In total, you may earn up to 20 per class, which may be used to convert full 4 sets of armor to ornaments. Quick example for hunters out there, that can mean you unlock 4 armor pieces and 16 cloaks to swap, depending on your mood. So, this is let's get through this, and then we'll get to part 2 that's making people upset. So on this, I think 20 for the intro season is actually a lot more generous than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought at most you were going to get...
You're going to get 8 armor set.
I thought you were going to get 10. I thought they were going to give you 2 for the intro season. And I feel like we all knew there was a cap coming. They just hadn't explicitly said. The minute they said there would be an earnable currency and a pay currency, I think we all knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm from. Is I set that expectation over a year ago when Luke Smith put in his address that, hey, we're gonna bring Transmog, we're gonna want it to be earnable or paid in silver. And at that moment, in that address there, I was like, okay, so it's gonna be a thing that you can earn it, and then you're gonna have to buy it if you want like everything. I just kind of set that expectation for myself. Whether it's good or bad, it's what video games are in 2021.
And I sat there, and I mean, my initial reaction was, who the hell has more than 4 full armor sets that they need to transmog right this second? Yeah. And then I sat down and actually looked at my collections. So, and this is just bringing the essential stuff, in my opinion, for me. Mm-hmm. I want to bring my Last Wish set. I want to bring my Crown of Sorrow set. I want my Black Armory set, my Scourge of the Past set. I want my Deepstone Crypt set. I want my Trials armor. I have like 6 or 7 cloaks from various activities, including my beloved Dead Orbit cloak that I want to bring with me.
Will come eventually.
I have so many things that I want to bring forward that I'm like, I was talking with our friend Nerd Generalist and with Matt about this earlier, and I says, I am going to be spending seasons chasing this stuff. Yeah. And that's okay with me.
Yep.
This gives me something to do. I'm already doing these activities, and it's going to make me honestly weigh what needs to come forward right now. Maybe I can afford to skimp out on some of the helmets or some of the cloaks in favor of armor pieces that fit me better.
Mm-hmm. You can skip the armor slot that you're normally wearing in an exotic.
Exactly. That's the other thing I was going to say. Like, yeah. I swap often between Celestial Nighthawk and Shards.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 things I run the most for an exotic. So it makes sense that I'm probably not going to prioritize arms or helmet as much because I already have a helmet that I like wearing. I have my skull helmet.
Yeah.
And I really like the Guardian Games one too. It's got the little visor down. I really like it.
Yeah.
I've gotten some other cool armors, and I realize, like, speaking as a hunter, our armor situation's quite a bit better than other classes.
Well, that's classes.
We've had... we've been strangely fortunate to have really cool Eververse sets that, I've bought all of them with Bright Dust. I've never paid actual silver for an armor set ever. So I've done that, and I've gotten enough cool stuff in game. Like, I want to bring my Prophecy sets forward, both the sets from the Prophecy Dungeon. Like
those data sets are.
Yeah, I want that cloak. I just want to be able to rip the wings off the top of it, though. The little Thor wings. But when you look at things like this, I'm like, okay, so there's plenty of things that I want the option to be there, especially with how shaders are going to be fixed. Mm-hmm. but I'm still not in a position where I'm like, okay, I think this warrants a full-on meltdown and screaming that Bungie did not solicit feedback and everything else. And I'm going to generalize for just a sec, because I don't want to make it sound like I'm being a Bungie shill or an apologist.
I'll be the Bungie apologist. You go ahead.
This is absolutely something that, like John said, we set expectations for about a year ago. And I remember you and I talking about this, and we said, this is what's going to happen. I'm fully prepared to spend some silver if I need to.
Yeah.
And we're about to get into the Eververse aspect of this, but I think on paper, I think this is one of those you need to go try it to find out. It's just, it feels like it's mainly two sets of people. It's mainly PvE players, and then it's a combination of people who are on social media and on Twitch as streamers. That's who it feels like it is in a lot of the complaining. Like, I've talked to several players who don't fit in any of those categories really, or who they're on social media but not really with Destiny stuff. Yeah. And they've said, I mean, it's a little annoying because I play multiple classes, or I'd like to go earn these on other classes and be able to transfer them over to my main, which is something I totally agree with.
That's something that I was like, okay, it's cool you can earn 6 sets a season if you play on all classes. But if you, like yourself, really only play one class, you're still restricted to only the 2 sets a season, so that kind of sucks.
It's a little rough.
But my main thing is just the attitude that everyone takes when something like this happens, where it's, oh my god, the sky's melting, oh my god, Bungie's trying to rip us off, oh my god, Destiny is fucked, and it's like, guys, calm down. If this is how we're reacting, things can change. I mean, look at how fast they changed the uncapped power in trials, or sunsetting. Something as wide sweeping as sunsetting. You know, so voice your concern, give your opinions, but don't act like all of a sudden this.
And voice your opinions within reason. Also,
don't
go attacking. Don't go attacking people personally. Like, I can only imagine what Dylan and Cosmos mentions must have looked like today. Oh, fuck you, Bungie, you didn't learn from sunsetting at all. Like, well, then, you got them out here saying, hey, guys, we're hearing everything you're saying. We're taking all the feedback, the good and the bad, right now. Like, we want to have this conversation. Like, this is the beginning of a dialogue, and if this isn't going to work, we want to know going forward. I do not think there will be a change this first season. However, I do anticipate if once people get in there, the reception continues to be negative, it's too much of a crank, because we don't know how bad it's going to be to get that 150. I want to be really clear about that. We don't know. Is it going to be, you're going to get it for every enemy you kill, or for every few, or for only for high values, or what? Like, is that going to be, if that itself is a grind, then this is going to get really old really quick.
And while I personally don't care about being capped to 10 armor pieces a season, because to me it just gives me something else to look forward to every season. Right. And that may not be enough for some people, but for me, I'm looking at it like, okay, that's this other thing I have in the back of my mind every season. I'm like, okay, what armor sets do I want to unlock? So, but I do have to sympathize at least with the completionists out there, and they do exist. And while I might think they're being unreasonable, I can kind of understand that if you have that mentality of I want everything unlocked, and I wish I could just sit down and grind from the start of the season to the end of the season and unlock as many sets as I want.
Absolutely,
I get that.
Absolutely. I get that. I understand it. And I sympathize with the people who they want the option to be there.
Yeah.
Who were like planning on unlocking absolutely everything, the white, the green, the blue, and I'm just like, no, okay, guys, come on. There's a point to be reasonable with this. I don't know. So I don't have a problem with this on paper right now. Obviously, I'm trying to stop being so reactionary and stop screaming, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever. Oh my god, this is amazing. Like, I want to see this in action before I praise or destroy it.
Exactly. Do you remember last season when they were making the changes to how they were trying to merge how guns feel closer together with PC and console, and they made SMGs.
I remember the absolute explosion.
And then day one of the season, everyone's like, oh, this is actually fine. And actually SMGs feel much better on console, so that's cool, and PC players really weren't affected in any noticeable way. But the day that news was announced, everyone lost their goddamn mind, Right.
So now we're going to get into this next part, okay? There's 2 next sections we need to get into. And one of them is there are some exceptions. Universal ornaments may only be applied to legendary armor. No shit.
Yeah.
Exotic armor pieces cannot take the appearance of alternate armor, as we want to maintain their appearance for players to quickly identify and understand what perks a player may have. Also understandable.
Yeah, you need to know if someone has a one-eyed mask.
Exactly. You need to know if somebody has, for example, shards, if you're going into Mayhem. You want to know if somebody in Trials is running Geomags
or even like the Saint 14 helmet if they
Yeah.
pop a bubble, like that's huge information.
You want to know this, like that can affect your entire strategy, right? There are going to be exceptions at launch for year one armor ornaments due to technical constraints, but we're working on a solution for a future season. These include year one armor ornaments for Vanguard, Crucible, Iron Banner, faction rallies, prestige raids, and Trials of the Nine. I don't think this is going to be a huge deal to people because I don't know many who will actually wear that. I honestly think, I alluded earlier to my Dead Orbit cloak. Yeah. I feel like that will be one of the very few items that people are going to be like, I really wish I could use this.
Yeah, and the Trials of the Nine armor, the people that did earn that back in the day are probably going to be bummed that they can't do it.
I mean, they haven't been able to use it in how many years now?
Yeah. But they're, if I had that unlocked, I would have been looking forward to this. So
I do, and I say this as someone who still wears a lot of his Season 3 Iron Banner armor.
Yeah.
I do wear a lot of that. I really like that. This bums me out that's not going to work, but this is the exact same issue that happened when Shadowkeep launched, and we had a fix in about a season.
Yeah, so that's them saying these won't be here at launch. Right. We're working on a fix. It'll be there eventually. So, okay, whatever,
Exactly. Ornaments can still be applied to the base. So these ornaments can still be applied if the base armor piece is from an activity that ornament originates. For example, if you own Crucible ornaments from Curse of Osiris, they may be applied to Crucible armor at no cost. Yeah. However, they cannot be applied to seasonal armor. Additionally, now this is the one that this is why I started staying away from social media today, because I knew this particular paragraph was going to
be
Base armor appearances from 2018 and 2019 Solstice of Heroes events will be available for Armor Synth. However, due to an issue where the glows cannot be socketed alongside armor appearances in the new appearance system, glows will not be supported. 2020 armor glows were developed with the system in mind, and players will retain the white armor glow if it was earned during the event. Subclass-based glows will continue to function under universal ornaments as well. That is, I feel, a completely reasonable explanation. However, it is still very shitty that you cannot use those glows. I feel like the players who did that, maybe you could have, I don't know what you do. Like,
I feel at the very least they should just put in there, we're working on a fix. We're working on a way to make that work, because
I understand why it doesn't, which is the unfortunate part, because I do get it. I get the technical limitations, that it's meant to go in that slot. There's really no code for it.
And I'm Bungo apologist number one. The only reason people bought that armor was for the glows.
Right. I feel like at that point you need to put some credit back on the account or something. Not the full amount, because you've had a couple years that you could enjoy this.
Yeah.
At this point.
Well, except for 2019. But why is Solstice armor always such a this is always one way or another, there's drama with the Solstice.
There's always drama, and we're starting it early this year. So I do understand, and I sympathize with players who spent actual money. Hell, even if you spent Bright Dust on it, I sympathize with you.
I spent actual money because I wanted it on my Warlock as well. I earned it for my Titan, and then I bought it on my Warlock.
I remember. But while we're talking about Eververse, let's get into this. Eververse will also offer Synth Weave for direct purchase through the appearance screen. One template, so one token, will cost 300 silver. 5 tokens will cost 1,000. And for reference, ornament bundles cost 1,500 silver. This is where I have a problem. This is where I begin to develop a problem. So I think everything else, I'm in a wait and see approach. I think that this is too expensive, personally. I think that, and I understand, you can't charge 150 silver for something.
Yeah.
I feel like the individual pieces should be 200, and I think you should get 6 or 7 tokens for 1,000.
Yeah.
I think, and I mean, understand, you're getting you're getting a discount here. If you buy the bundle of 1,000, you are saving 200 silver. You're saving $2.
Yeah.
And the fact that there is no Bright Dust option for this is what really gets me the wrong way, because you have people like me or like a lot of streamers out there who played so much in years 1, 2, and 3. So when they broke everything down
everything
prior to Shadowkeep, they had literally like 6 figures of Bright Dust, and they still were able to buy everything they wanted with change to spare. I am I am almost in that category. I have like 75K on me even after buying the Guardian game set. I would like the option to be able to go in and spend like 200 Bright Dust for an armor ornament.
Yeah.
Not 200 Bright Dust. Take whatever a legendary armor ornament costs 1,200 Bright Dust. Make me changing something over. Make that 600 Bright Dust or something. Let me do that for a fraction of the price. Let me spend some of this Bright Dust because I will grind to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I'll gladly do that. Because again, it's activities I'm already playing. I'm not spending this stuff anyways.
You know what surprised me? I wasn't expecting a Bright Dust option because there was another. Not that I wouldn't like one, but what surprises me is that they're not working this overly convoluted synthweave currency into the game elsewhere as rewards. You know what I mean? Like you 100K a Nightfall, you have a certain percent chance to get a synthweave to drop. You know what I mean? Or something. Work this into the game like they have enhancement materials.
And I do think that's going to be one of the first changes that they make is that they're gonna give you like a mod or something for your ghost that gives you a chance to have one drop.
Yeah.
I feel like that's gonna come sooner rather than later. And I want to play with this system before I criticize it too much.
Yeah.
Like the Eververse stuff rubbed me the wrong way when it was announced, a couple months ago when we knew it was coming. It rubs me the wrong way now. And I wish there was a Bright Dust option or an earnable in-game or, a better earnable in-game option. So like you can keep buying these beyond the limit. And I think even if it's something as simple as taking the limit from 10 to 20 a season would be a big step.
Yeah.
I know it'd be a big step. That's 4 sets every single season. But at the end of the day, and this is the unfortunate part of having to tell you guys this is a business.
Yep.
Corporations are not your friends. This game exists to make money. It really does. But for the overreactions I've seen, like I've seen some people say, "Oh, this makes me feel like I'm playing a free-to-play game." You are. You literally are playing a free-to-play game.
You are. Granted, we're most of us paid players, but yes, you're playing a free-to-play game.
But this is ultimately at its core, this is the system it's always been. It is, at the very least, I think, better than Destiny 1's Eververse was.
Yeah. And how far have we come in the last 2 years as far as the Eververse is concerned of what we can earn in game, how much Bright Dust we can earn in game, how transparent
this is the first
real
Eververse controversy we've had in a couple of years.
Since there was some, and they addressed it last year with like putting those trials ornaments in the Eververse and Shadowkeep ornaments in the Eververse, and so
it's
I feel
been about a year since we had a controversy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know I'm an apologist for this stuff, and I don't really align with, but the way I look at it is they met us in the middle with how we felt about the Eververse, and they put earnable rewards in, and they said we're going to stop, putting stuff that feels like it should be from X Strike or X Raid in the store. They've given us so much more Bright Dust to earn,
and I feel like this is another opportunity to talk about seasonal challenges too. The 4,000 Bright Dust pile if you do your challenges, and almost all of that you're not having to go out of your way to play if you're just a normal player.
Yeah.
There obviously we've talked about the issues with that system over and over again. I don't want to relitigate points that you and I have both made on this very show. But I think that was a step forward, especially for solo players. For people who only play one character, that's it. We don't feel like we have to go play multiple characters. I'm not loading up my characters every time that Mayhem comes around, running in as a Warlock and as a Titan, trying to earn like an extra 1,000 Bright Dust that week.
Yeah.
And we're deciding, it's not too bad. I can go do some strikes too while I'm at it.
Yeah. And almost everyone in my clan only plays one character.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's enough of a time sink for one character.
Yeah.
And like to master that character, especially when like all of us, we play trials, we grandmaster, we raid together, like, our groups of friends are, the same. And that's a thing. Like, when so-and-so logs on, okay, we can rely on this person to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
They can't do this, but, their class will let them do this, and they're really good at doing this. or so and so has certain exotics, or has this armor piece that'll help out, or these mods, like they've got a whole build based around this. Like you and I were the Charged with Light guys, teaching that to everybody over the summer.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff I want to get back to. Like, this ultimately, I think, is a really minor footnote in the legion of problems that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
Like, this is not, let's not pretend for a second that this is nearly on the level of needing new Crucible maps, still needing states too.
Thank you for bringing that up, because this is my biggest problem with how upset everyone is today, is that this is a small quality of life change. This is okay, so we don't like the numbers on the caps or the prices or whatever, all that can change. And Bungie has shown time and time again that they will change based on feedback. So to act like the sky is falling because you don't like how little ornaments you can earn every season, we're just playing dress up here. And how many normal ornaments do you already own? I mean, I mostly am decked out, other than whatever Trials armor I want to rock. I am normally wearing mostly universal ornaments already.
Me too. Me too. That's how I kind of feel. But I mean, we are the guys who play like almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
We put in an insane amount. I mean, we're regularly hitting 250 on our season passes. You know, even in a season like this where it was a great season, but we may have pulled back a bit. Like I don't play nearly as much as I was last spring. I'm still, without the seasonal challenges, would easily be hitting 150 to 200.
Yeah.
But the season pass has propelled me to like 250, which is the most I've ever done in a season. And it's crazy, the amount of XP you can get from that. And just, playing with friends, you're stacking bounties. Like, I've never felt less pressured to get bounties, and it feels great.
Yeah. And
I get them now for that extra XP boost towards getting my rewards.
Yeah. And it's great to take people who don't play it as much as we do, of like, I'm not really sure what I should go after. I always tell them now, look at your seasonal challenges. Do you want to go play some Crucible? Look at, how many of those can you stack up? And,
Right.
They will shoot forward in both XP and get a ton of Bright Dust in the meantime, just by going through those seasonal challenges. I think it's a great way to push people into different areas of the game and kind of give you an agenda, so to speak, if you're not sure where to go.
Right. Do we have any final thoughts on armor synthesis, transmog, whatever we want to call it? I think I pretty much got all my thoughts out there. I was going to move on to the shaders.
Yeah. No, I guess I'll let you go into that, because the shader issue is my favorite part of this entire transmog.
So it's funny, the shader thing actually got me more heated than the armor synthesis.
Oh, you mean the prices?
Yes.
The price increase? Okay.
So all unlocked shaders will be visible on the Guardian appearance screen when hovering over shader bucket. Thank God.
Yes.
Thank God. And you can see what it looks like on an individual piece before you apply it. You can preview that. You can preview the armor piece. Awesome. Fantastic. However, players may apply shaders for 500 glimmer per armor piece. Additionally, we've added the often requested apply all button for shaders, which will cost 2,500 glimmer total. It's the same glimmer cost to purchase shaders right now. We've done away with the legendary shards requirement. That part of it is great. I like that. Very happy about that. What I don't like, shaders will continue to be earned through various activities in Destiny 2, or it can be purchased using Bright Dust or Silver from Eververse. First off, I don't like that shaders are going to be up for Silver. I really hate that, actually. That is the one thing that was...
Have they ever been up for Silver?
Nope. Never. Never. Additionally, we will be increasing the cost for shaders from 40 Bright Dust to 300. This will continue to be a one-time purchase and will appear in the Guardian appearance menu when unlocked. In celebration of Armor Synthesis, a Year 1 Eververse shader bundle will also be available in Eververse for Glimmer, so no silver required. I do like that, though.
Yeah,
I do like that, and I want more.
Have you ever bought anything in the Eververse for Glimmer before? That's pretty cool.
Not necessarily like Glimmer, maybe, but I want to see
legendary shards.
Something. Yeah, charge me 200 legendary shards for a bundle or something for some Year 1 stuff. I think that'd be fantastic. I would give 3,000 legendary shards to never get another fucking purple sparrow or ship or ghost from Year 1 in my inventory ever again.
Yeah, you want to talk about a mess up ever.
I am maxed out on upgrade materials. I would give all my golf balls for that to never happen again.
Yep, and that's exactly what I point to when people act like the Eververse now is worse than it was. Then go look at how many fucking stupid, redundant,
how many new
sparrows and ghosts
still getting from those categories
that all look the same and generic, and they're not, and it was all there to
getting towards the end because I've gotten a lot of exotic drops the last few weeks out of those bright Ingrams.
Yeah.
I think I'm finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. While we're talking about permanent unlocks, though, because your Ghost is on that screen also, Ghost is on a screen like that. Can we get these options for Ghost also? Can we get permanent unlocks for transmats and for projections?
Yeah, all those needed to just be unlocks. The whole idea of them being consumable came out of that D2 launch of we want you to go earn these and maybe get you to spend some money in the Eververse to get more. I mean, it was all part of that system that everyone unanimously hated. And honestly, I can't believe it took this long to deal with this shader issue because it's something that we have all been complaining about since D2 launched.
I am genuinely very pumped for the fact that they're going to do a Glimmer bundle in the Eververse for year one shaders because I feel like that is the kind of stuff that we need to see going forward. To get that year one stuff. And I think a lot of that is to get that. I would love it if they would now, since they're permanent unlocks, once you have unlocked the shader, never give it to me again in a Bright Ingram. Ever. Yeah. There's no reason to. It should be out of Bright Ingrams now. Shaders, once you have earned everything in the shader pool that you can, they should no longer be in there.
Yep.
And that's why I also argued that I think that you need to do the same thing with projections and with transmat effects.
Yeah.
Once those are out of there, cool. If that means I go down to just getting one thing per Ingram, fine. Yeah. I'm cool with that. Give me 20 Bright Dust in lieu of giving me a shader or something, or give me 40 Bright Dust or something. I don't care. Give me something. But I'm okay with that.
Give me some Syntho coins.
Yeah, give me some Syntho coins. Just give me some Synth Weave, since apparently I could do like 10 things.
What's the first currency in that whole system? It's the Synth Weave and the Synth Orb and the Synth Token and the Synth...
I read this like 6 times and I'm still confused. Synth Strand, Synth Cord, Synth Weave.
Okay, yeah, give me some Synth Strands. Yeah, give me them strands, baby.
The strands for days.
Complicated. But yeah, this was before we got into the Eververse part of it. The fact that I can just set one shader on all my armor and not have to worry about it that is what I have been more excited about than turning old armor into universal ornaments. That's cool too, and I'm definitely going to engage with that. But I change my look almost every week. I find some new shader or some old shader that I hadn't looked at before. That's cool. Put it on all my armor, and then as soon as I swap out a piece of armor. Like, oh shit, I gotta go find that.
Especially this season with the Celestial set has been really good for that.
Yeah.
Even if it is very similar to the Emprium Cartographer set from Season of the Undying. It's still, great one for playing with various shaders. It's my favorite universal set in the game, personally. If I want to see how something looks, that's my test armor, because that's usually what I'm wearing. For my chest piece and my legs, at least. Then, I think that's about it. We're gonna go up and we're gonna hit these Nightfall weapons. We're gonna get into our discussion about Grandmasters.
Let's do it.
For those of you listening, by the time you listen to this, the week will be almost out. This is your final This is your final chance to earn Palindrome for a while. Because they say next season 3 new legendary weapons will be added to the Nightfall rotation, which will also receive adept treatment when Grandmasters become available. As such, Palindrome, Shadow Price, and Swarm will be taking a hiatus for the first half of the season. When they return, all 3 will be available as potential post-game rewards when completing Nightfalls on featured weeks. So if you're looking to farm some Palindromes, this week is the last chance to do so for a while until they return. And in a future Schwab, they're going to show off the new Nightfall weapon. So I assume that'll be the week before the season launches, or the week that the season launches.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, all Grandmasters are up now. You don't have to suffer through Proving Ground if you don't want to. You can go do Devil's Lair, which Devil's Lair was fucking intense. I did that the other night. You can go do Arms Dealer. You're in for a challenge, but I feel like Palindrome is the only one out of those 3 really worth chasing an adept version of.
Yeah.
For
Until
the
we
rest
see in the weapon tuning TWAB that 450 autos are getting a buff and shadow price
Hey,
becomes.
if we do, I've got 4 times the charm. I'm good. I've got a great roll on my Adept Shadow.
Must be nice. Must be nice.
I love it.
You're not sitting there with bottomless grief. You're not.
No, I have a great roll on Swarm. It's not the Adept version, but I do have a great roll on Swarm. Looking forward to that inevitable LMG buff down the line, especially with things now. That's the beauty of it. I may get a good roll on something and be like, all right, I'm going to put this in the vault until it gets buffed, until it's viable again. I like this though. That they're going to introduce 3 new Nightfall weapons. I think they understand that's what most people are going to go grind.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see this so immediately. You know, I was worried that, like trials like Iron Banner or anything else, that we might have waited 6 months before we got another suite of adept weapons to chase in Nightfalls.
I mean, trials, it was an entire year.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So I hope as the next year progresses that we at least get 1 or 2 new trials weapons in a season here or there. You know,
I'm trying to figure out how to. So I'm assuming this means that regular Palindrome is going to be on the ice for a little bit too, which I think is fine. Let the new weapons have some, but clearly they're going to let them exist concurrently those last 6 weeks of the season or so. The back half, whenever Grandmasters go up, is when they're going to let them kind of coexist. And I like that. I like that that's going to be a thing. You know, they're going to let the attention be on the new weapons for the first, 6 weeks or so.
And then let the grind exist for whatever you're chasing, you know.
Right. Kind of lets people attune their play style. We know that 140s are, getting bumped down a little bit next season. I like this. I mean, I've been a long time proponent of. I think there need to be better rewards. I mean, now you've got the Vanguard weapons, and you've got these. I think you're looking great in terms of PvE reward over there.
That was my first response when they announced Grandmasters. Right. I'm like, man, cool. What do I get?
So for me, even if it's a week that I don't like, for example, I have no interest in getting a palindrome right now, an adept palindrome. I do have interest in getting those mods though, so I have them for future weapons that I may like.
Well, Josh, I might need a little help getting in there to get a palindrome for me. You know what I mean?
We may be able to acquiesce.
You get some mods. I finally get a good hand cannon.
I would really, but hey, the second I get big ones, I'm out of there. That's what I care about right now, baby. I have adept range already, and I'm very excited about that. So, but like I said, our main topic tonight is actually going to be Grandmasters. We've talked a lot about the end game content. We talked a lot about rewards these last couple of weeks. Grandmasters is the one thing we haven't touched. I wanted to leave this until we'd had the opportunity to play more than just one. Last time we addressed Grandmasters, Nerd had gotten through Devil's Lair, and then me and him got through the Arms Dealer. We did it with you, and we did it with Matt. And so I've done that. I came very close to finishing Devil's Lair the other night with him and Colonel Panic, but I think we were all too drunk to get it done.
Which happens. It happens.
I'll put it this way. He may have died in a Nerd may have died in a blaze of glory, saying "my laurels" and running after them, and then dying to the captain outside. I may have been completely out of ammo except for Divinity, so I may have tried to solo Sepix Prime with Divinity. I lasted a lot longer than anybody thought I would because I kept getting rockets. But then they spawned 2 champions on me, and that was it. I was dead.
Yeah.
We hit the 45 minutes. We lost. We didn't have any extra lives left. It was all over at that point. But John, in terms of you've done more Grandmasters than anybody I know. You did a bunch in Season of Arrivals, or not Season of Arrivals. You did a bunch this last season in Hunt. Yeah,
Season of Hunt.
In terms of the difficulty for Grandmasters, where do we think it's at right now? Do we think we think it's fair? Obviously, some of these are way more difficult than others.
Yeah,
it's not even a contest that Proving Grounds is harder than Devil's Lair.
Yeah, or
fucking Fallen Saber.
What's the Dreaming City one?
Oh, the Corrupted.
Yeah, Corrupted Grandmaster. Forget about it. Not worth it. I don't even like. It's a shame because that and like the Shadow Keep Strike. That I'm forgetting the name of.
Warden of Nothing?
No, the Scarlet Keep.
Yeah.
The Scarlet Keep and Corrupted are beautiful strikes. Beautiful designs, great play spaces, great music, great tone. They suck as repeatable strikes, and they suck even more as Grandmasters because they are so long.
Scarlet Keep, I feel, if you had made a few tweaks to it, could have been a really cool dungeon.
Yeah.
I would almost argue that should have been the dungeon over Pit of Heresy. And that Pit of Heresy maybe should have been a strike. Again, with a few changes. I mean, we've litigated this point a lot, that Scarlet Keep on Master was more difficult than some of these Grandmasters that we've done.
Yeah.
Now, and granted, that was before we had Charged with Light or anything else.
That was to say that.
Fucking hard.
Yeah, it was rough.
No Xenophage, nothing. No swords.
Yep. I think Grandmaster is exactly as hard as it needs to be for what it's trying to do. It's trying to be that ever-present, it doesn't matter how long you've been playing, it is this bar of difficulty. So it's not like an old raid that we can go, like we go play Last Wish now and it's still mechanically difficult, but staying alive and killing enemies is not the issue, right?
Right.
And the same with dungeons. You go back and play, I've taken several people through the Shattered Throne, and it's still beautiful and still an awesome dungeon. It is laughably easy to kill the bosses in that, whereas you were running by the hair on your chin to kill those wizards in time around the ogre in the third encounter. Even that was almost impossible back in the day. So I feel like Grandmaster is doing the job of serving that season after season. This is the highest tier of difficulty for PvE that you can get in the game.
It is absolutely. There are times where the Grandmasters are absolutely more brutal than a raid.
Yeah.
It is the equivalent in some cases of trying to do the raid and contest mode. That's the best description I've heard of it, straight from the community managers.
Yep.
And I'm definitely inclined to agree with that. It's not that it's not fun. I'm not one who likes things to be hard for the sake of being hard. Like, I'll do them if the rewards are there. And I do feel like, in terms of the rewards, I think the idea is there. And I know a lot of people have gone like, oh, I got Shadow Price, or I got Swarm, I just auto-sharded it, or I'm not going to do Grandmasters this week, or even Nightfalls. And I'm like, well, I think that's a little premature to say that, because let me tell you something. Those guns, they may not have place in the meta now, but when they do and they're no longer available, then you're going to be bitching that you're getting killed by them all the time.
Pre-Shadowkeep, if I told you when Trials returns, the most used energy weapon was going to be 9 Hunger, I don't think you would have believed me.
I didn't believe it when it was happening at first, frankly. That's a great example of what we're talking about, right? Like, things can change on a dime. That became meta overnight.
Yeah.
Before that, the only person who I knew they used it was Forest.
Yeah.
And even then, it was practically a meme. But so when it comes to difficulty, I think we're there on difficulty. Rewards, it's ironic. I feel like out of all the categories we've talked about, I think Grandmasters are actually in the best place right now. Grandmasters and strikes in terms of loot to chase. You have Third Axiom, which is a great pulse. You have Royal Entry, which can roll with Lasting Impression. That's actually the one you want to roll with Lasting Impression.
Yep, because it comes with that inherent tracking. Because is it
You've
adaptive? Whatever frame it is.
And then what was the Vanguard weapon we got with Beyond Light? I'm stumped on this. I can't remember what it was.
Well, we also have the Scout. There's
Scout. Eternal
Blazon. Yeah.
So I think Third Axiom, did that come with Beyond Light, or did that come now? I feel like that was a Beyond Light thing.
Now we're missing one, because we got the grenade launcher in Gambit, and we got the Xenoclast. Xenoclast is what came out.
Okay. Yeah, you had Xenoclast. I mean, Xenoclast is, it's whatever. I feel like overall, though, that's 6 weapons you can get from various strike playlists.
Yeah.
That's by far the most generous. It is the only way that most of us are ever going to get Adept weapons or Adept mods. This is certainly the only way that the average player is going. Not even average,
not average, but the other half of the community, because there's people that can solo Prophecy on a stream and not do three wins in trials. So
Right.
this is the other branch that the game has needed for a long time, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. I think the change that they made to Grandmaster, especially this season, like I said before, I was at level. I never had a desire to do them, though, because the rewards simply weren't there. I was like, why should I go do it for mats?
Yeah.
When this stuff is going to sunset anyways.
I could do Master Nightfalls for mats, and I could do 2 or 3 of them in the time it takes me to do a Grandmaster.
Hell, I don't even have to do that. I could just go do Heroes.
Yeah.
I'll do the first tier of those harder ones, but... And I've said for a long time, like, I'm tired of doing strikes. I'm tired of it. Now with the Grandmasters being added in, and as long as it's not me trying to do, like, the glass way, I think I'm okay. Like, now, that is my
only problem with to circle back to the difficulty of Grandmasters. Like I said, I think they do a fantastic job of being that top shelf for difficulty for PvE. But I feel like, and I don't know how much work this would take on Bungie's end, and it's always more than we think it is, right? I wish they could do something to make them feel a little more even. Because like we joked about, you can run through Devil's Lair or Arms Dealer 20 minutes like it's a slightly harder strike. You go try to get through the first half of the Glassway or Proving Grounds or the Corrupted, and it is a nightmare. It is a gulf of difference between strikes.
Right.
It's just the way that the strikes were designed. So I don't know what they can do, but I feel like they need to meet a little more in the middle so Grandmasters is a consistent experience.
Yeah. And I mean, like, so we talk about the difficulty. That's one thing that I do think is going to have a look taken at it, either this summer or before the Witch Queen comes out. The difficulty of stuff that has come out from Forsaken onwards is noticeable.
Yeah.
So I mean, Forsaken, you have Warden of Nothing, which I think is a pretty balanced Grandmaster from everything I've seen.
Yeah.
But you also have the Corrupted and you have Hollowed Lair, neither of which are particularly short or forgiving, really, in multiple places, and that's fine. Like, a Grandmaster doesn't necessarily need to be forgiving, but it's to the point where it's just not fun, especially in the Corrupted, I would argue.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you had the Scarlet Keep come out in Shadowkeep, and now this year you've had Glassway and you have Proving Grounds, 2 of the best strikes we've ever gotten. But holy shit, they're almost undoable on Grandmaster.
Yeah, that's what stopped me and my team last season.
Yeah.
When we were toying around with the idea of going for Conqueror, right? We went in, and what is the not Omnigul strike that we got last season?
Oh,
what do they call it now?
Yeah. The Navoda one. The Hunted.
Yeah. Either way, we did that. We did the Cosmodome strike, and it took us. We tried it one evening. We couldn't nail it. We came back the next evening, and we executed it right, and we nailed it. And it felt awesome. We crushed it. Next week, we tried to do Glassway. And we spent about 3 hours trying to get even halfway through Glassway, and it's just
so bad.
My lord.
It's not worth it. It's simply not worth it. If I wipe when I've been at this for 45, 50 minutes, that kicks me to orbit, I'm just like, nope, I'm doing something else, or I'm just logging off. Like, I don't want to do this. And it's not me rage quitting. It's just me going, my time is better spent doing something else.
Yeah.
And I'm man enough to admit that, okay, there may only be certain ones that I do on Grandmaster difficulty for those rewards, but I'm going to milk it at the end of the season because those rewards will all come back around one more time, and I'll go milk that strike I know I can do.
Yeah, but that was the only point I was trying to make of like I feel like they should do something to make it more consistent. I don't know what that would be. I don't know if that means making quality of life passes for the Grandmaster versions of certain strikes, or what. But it's just such an inconsistent.
I think you got to do something at some point. There's certain things that have to be done. Whether it's nerfing sniper damage, incoming sniper damage from Vandals or something. There are some of these that just like those, and like taking Hobgoblins, you're just like, well, fuck, I'm done.
When you're gonna get one banged by a Tracer Shank, it's.
It feels bad. It feels real bad. That's what did us in Devil's Lair was. There was a sniper that was just trained on one of our ghosts, but we really needed that person up. They were the only ones with heavy. We really needed them up, and that thing assassinated them like 3 different times, as well as me. So we lost 4 revives there, and then we walk into the boss arena, and there's 2 more right there.
Yep.
So
with Overload champions. And Briggs. And tanks.
yeah, ironically, the tank was actually the easiest part of that whole encounter. The big room with the shipping containers where you have the waves and you're trying to protect ghosts. That was actually the hardest part of the whole thing for us.
Question, was Nerd on Ursa? Was he rocking the banner shield?
No, Nerd was running his Warlock and was
Not Nerd, I mean Colonel, Captain Colonel.
Oh, no, he was dropping bubbles for us, which was good. We did need that. But dude, there's so many snipers in that encounter. Like you're trying to all huddle behind the container up on the ledge, and you're taking pot shots. And that's I took a scout in there, so I was taking all them out. But man, if a champion gets right below you, you're basically screwed. But you don't have time to stun the champions because there's so many other things shooting you. That is just a very chaotic room.
Yeah. Doing it on Master, the only way we could do it was, that back balcony that you back up to behind where you deploy your ghost. So we get up there, we get in the top left corner, and we plant a well right there, and then I stand in the middle, slightly outside of the well with my banner shield. And I'm just making tons of orbs while people.
It's funny. I didn't have a problem at all with the Master one. The Master one actually went fairly easily when Nerd, Matt, and I ran it together. But man, us trying to do it with Colonel on Grandmaster, it's rough. Yeah. It is rough. So I was like, no, it's okay. We'll come back in a couple days. If you're really determined, and he doesn't really care about getting a palindrome. He just wants to finish one for his seasonal stuff and to get that final Xbox achievement. So.
Well, I really want an Adept Palindrome, and I at least want a few more mods, because I only have one, and it's the Adept Mag size, which is not very exciting, to say the least.
Sorry. I mean, the Grandmaster talk, this is just so simple because they're in such a good place right now, I feel. The difficulty is there. It's a little unrelenting at times, like we said, but I think part of that is also the fun of it, is figuring out what builds work, getting out of your comfort zone, the difficulty. It's just sometimes it's a little too punishing.
Yeah.
And
it is completely optional. It's that thing. It's the same thing with trials. Not that there's not, we talked about it before. I don't want to regurgitate that, but not that there's tons of things that they couldn't do better with trials. It's also there for the top of the top to go do their thing, and that exists as an avenue for them. And it's the same thing in PvE. Like I said, the monsters that can go in and solo new dungeons, or I have seen people solo Grandmaster Nightfalls, and it's like, my lord, this game serves.
Those are just gods among men. I don't understand that. It is. No, that's a little too much for me, I think.
But I'm happy that Destiny can serve that wide spectrum of people and us, who are just kind of okay at most things.
For sure. Well, I think that's gonna do it for a Grandmaster talk then. Not really gonna relitigate everything we've already gone over. If they were in as bad of a place as trials or
there'd be a lot more to talk about.
Seasonal events, we'd still be talking. But we're gonna shift on over. God, we're making a really good time tonight. We're gonna shift over to our lore corner for tonight. I'm not gonna make John try and guess an exotic tonight. It's no fun.
All by my lonesome.
It's no fun when it's only one person.
I'm gonna step out for just 1 second, but I can still hear it. So
you're good. You're good. Tonight's reading is gonna come to us from Anarchy. Stick to the wall, ground, human, then fry. Sivkis, lost to none. You little rat. You took my warm hospitality and stomped all over it like an ungrateful child. Is that any way to treat one of your dear brethren? Sivkis laughed, a cold, twisted laugh, then offered up a large wad of spit at the spider's feet. Spider rolled his eyes. Let me know when you're ready to make nice, he said. Sivkis's laugh now grew into something maniacal. He topped it off with another wad of spit, this time directly in the spider's face. Once he'd wiped his brow, the spider leaned forward, looking Sivkis in the eyes. and said, I think our little rat here needs a timeout, perhaps someplace with the rest of the vermin. The many hands of Spider's men gripped and restrained Sitkus. As they dragged him off, he shouted, You, as bad as all fallen, worse even, a friend even to humans, all must die. Spider simply waved goodbye, taunting, Bon voyage, my friend. Once Sivkus had gone, the spider looked longingly towards where he had stood. He sighed a deep, regretful sigh before continuing with business as usual. Now, I wanted to read from this because I wanted to do a little bit of Fallen stuff tonight because earlier today we got the rumor that the next season's title has been leaked, Season of the Splicer. I don't know how accurate that is. Nobody's really been able to replicate how that was found in the lines of code. But I really want to pull a Fallen piece tonight.
And that's awesome. Anarchy is one of our favorite guns, I feel like.
Anarchy's absolutely, it's a mainstay in every Guardian's arsenal right now. If you don't have it, you should go grind out a ton of spoils and get it.
Yep.
But we also really like the Spider. Spider's been really core to the storyline since Beyond Light, really. He had a lot to do last season. We freed Crow from him, probably permanently destroying our relationship with him. It's hard for him not to have probably the same reaction towards us. I imagine him thinking the same when we walked out of there with Crow.
Yeah.
Wondering what could have been. We were his guardian. We were his enforcer on the shore pretty much. And then that later fell to, Crow, who was in his employ. And that, I think this paints an interesting picture of Spider. We think Spider is almost this tyrant, like this mob boss. But I think this is one of the few pieces of lore we have that really does humanize him, where there's not something in it for him. He's not doing this because it'll make him more powerful. He's doing this because he pretty much has to. Like, Sivkus was one of his closest allies. Yeah. And basically is throwing a hissy fit because Spider teamed up with us.
And if you're only a D2 player, Spider, until Beyond Light, Spider's probably the only interaction you've ever had with a Fallen.
Right.
For most people who don't read the lore, we had Mithrax, but if you weren't up to date in the lore, you probably didn't understand what was going on. You talked to a Fallen captain crouching behind a corner, and then you went and ran 0 hour, but it wasn't apparent to most players what that actually meant. So Spider was really, for a lot of D2 players, their first interaction with the Fallen that wasn't just killing them before they kill us.
Yeah, I think that this just this really isn't anything like super deep. We're not getting into Captain's Log or anything like that right now. This is just something that I think paints an interesting picture of one of the more mysterious characters in the game. Yeah. Of Spider, and someone who we've predicted before, and I really feel like this is going to come to pass sooner or later, maybe even during the Witch Queen or shortly thereafter, will turn to being almost villainous. After what we did, we took away his own personal guardian. We took away his
big get for a guy like that.
Yeah, we took away his slave. Like, this is Spider's dream. He basically is the mob boss of the Tangled Shore. Especially in the chaos of the reef and of Mara's supposed death and things like that. Like, what has Marasov been up to? That's one of the driving questions. And is Spider going to get dragged back into this when Uldren, or when Crow figures out that he was Uldren and this and that? Is Spider going to have some sort of repercussion from him or from Mara for keeping him in the employ for so long and lying to him about who he was?
Or us. How would the Vanguard feel about him holding a Guardian captive and strapping bombs to his ghost?
Right.
It's trying to Amanda Holiday a Guardian.
Is this gonna, end up being a future story encounter? Is this gonna end up being a dungeon or a raid or something? Like, it's not unthinkable to think that may happen, But then again, at the same time, with the void left by Callus, there's really nobody to be in that gray area for us, other than Drifter. You've got Drifter there, and we've got so many other characters.
Callus isn't out yet.
Callus is out. Callus is absolutely out.
Sir, he's merged with the darkness. He's going to come back to us like Toland.
No. Callus is talking to me aboard that ship, my boy. He is not coming back. He is gone. He is dunzos. But that's going to wrap up our lore corner tonight. I think that's going to wrap our show too. This is kind of the shortest show we've had in quite a long time, probably a couple months now. Yeah. But just not a whole lot to cover outside of the Transmog tonight, and Grandmasters are doing great. Get out there, earn your adept pallies, get your adept mods, get big ones for me. Send me pictures if you do it.
Can I bring up one last thing before we call it?
You can absolutely bring up whatever you want to bring up before we get out of here.
That season of the Splicer rumor that's rolling around, how do you feel about them potentially launching some sort of season of Siva, season of Fallen, right after what just happened with Stasis and the Fallen and Beyond Light? I don't buy it. I don't buy it one bit.
So I buy it in one way, because I don't think it's Siva. I think when they say Season of the Splicer, so in the lore, the Elixni, the Fallen, Splicers aren't just people who work with Siva. They are creatures who splice the technology onto people. Basically, some of the people who rebuild Taniks, those are Splicers.
Okay.
Those are the Fallen that bring him in. I view it more as this is going to continue the story of the Deepstone Crypt. Because we were told that there are mysteries that will still have to be uncovered after the raid. And remember what the AI says to us as we're crashing back down to Europa. The crypt, once we crash, the crypt will be open to all. Defend it.
Okay.
And we've never gone back into it. Our Guardian very specifically does not go back into it in that encounter. I've long thought that there will be a dungeon tied to it. But the more immediate thing is, I think, we've been told there's going to be a lore reason for the Vault of Glass returning. It's not just going to return willy-nilly.
I hope so. I hope so.
And if that holds true, we've been told it might change. It's going to change up a little. What if the Fallen are assaulting the Vault of Glass to try and get a hold of Vex tech for their own experiments?
Interesting. Okay.
Because the Vex were created. Well, we don't know how the Vex were created, but we know that Vex Milk and Darkness is what created the Exos. So what if they
Cabal
found...
just did the same this season to try to look at with the Scion attack on Nessus. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So I wonder if that's going to be part of this, if they're chasing some of that tech because they have understood Clovis's notes. That would bring Clovis Bray back into the storyline. It would give Anna and Elsie something to do as well. I think there's some potential here, because I think you have to square with that storyline before we start setting up the Witch Queen, which is inevitably going to be the final season. That's going to be our season of arrivals. Savathun, I would not be shocked if Sivu Arath shows up that season in the flesh.
Yeah.
But I think that this fits. I think this fits with the theory of that there could be both the raid and a new dungeon, the dungeon later on in the season. We're due for a new dungeon. It's been about a year. Now, granted, we have had Harbinger and we have had Presage, both of which I think I would construe as mini dungeons.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely would. I've long made the case that I feel that Whisper of the Worm and Outbreak Perfected were both, and even Bad Juju to an extent, those are what I construe as a dungeon. I construe Pit of Heresy, Shattered Throne, and Prophecy more of what they originally envisioned raid layers to be.
Yeah.
And so I think if you're going with that technical definition, you could look at, we haven't had a dungeon since Prophecy, and that was last June. We're due for a new dungeon.
Yeah.
Maybe they drop one on us in the back half, or, it's Xivu Arath time. I don't think there's any way you don't take her down either in a raid or in a dungeon. You gotta take, because when you go to take down Savathun, you've got to claw through to her. You've got to take down Xivu Arath. You've got to take out Quira, and you got to take down her. What? I don't think that you're going to have Xivu Arath as the opening encounter in a raid. This is a Hive God we're talking about. Like, that at least demands its own dungeon.
And at some point, we have to address the curse of the Dreaming City, right? We have to circle back to that.
I do think that the curse of the Dreaming City is... So, Wish 15 has long been a conspiracy theory within the community. It was data mined. It was a triumph for so long, and then it was removed from the game. The new theory is that we will deal with the final wish of the Wishing Wall and deal with the Curse of the Dreaming City once and for all during Season 15, which is the extended season that will lead into Witch Queen.
Yeah.
Basically what we're going to get from the end of August through first quarter of next year. So who knows? I do think that there is a dungeon that is almost locked and loaded, ready to go. We do have to remember they're making all of this at home now.
Yeah.
They work about 6 months out. So like Chosen is really the first season they have completely built and shipped from home.
Yep.
And if this is what we can expect from future seasons, things like this and like Dressage,
Yep.
I'm all for it. I think
the season's been fantastic.
It's been an overwhelming success. I think there's 2 seasons that have been as good as this ever. And that's Opulence and Arrivals. I think that's pretty much unanimous across the board. Those are the 3 best. Honorable mention to Dawn.
Yeah, Dawn was great for its pitfalls, and it ran a little long.
Right.
The story and the game kind of merged together in such a way that I feel like is what Destiny is.
I think that and Black Armory kind of have to be your honorable mentions there.
Yeah.
And then everything else I think is below that, and like not necessarily even like oh my god, this is just so crappy. It's like I don't think anything's definitively at the bottom outside of Season of the Worthy. I think that's the only thing definitively at the bottom.
Which was a shame because the lore of that season, the story of that season was so cool. But my God, was the season
Seraph Towers, dude. Seraph Towers is so bad.
Oh my God.
I still think about Seraph Towers, and I think about that awful, awful, awful Season of the Hunt.
I would argue Season of the Hunt's even worse because it was just nothing.
I can at least excuse, and I don't want to.
It was just nothing. There was nothing even to get mad at.
The only reason I can excuse that is because we did get Beyond Light that season.
Yes.
And the actual story of the season was actually really well done. It's just the activity sucks. High Settlement is still a cool mission. I stand by that. I really want that ship still.
And I'm still playing it, trying to get that ship. Still ain't got it. I don't believe it exists.
I don't believe it does either. Even with cheeses and everything else, I don't think it actually exists. I am so annoyed with that. But rather than sit here and complain about our woes with this game, we want to thank you guys for coming out and listening to us. As always, you can find us. We try to post every single Thursday night or during the day on Friday. It kind of depends on when we can edit and who is editing. Tentatively, Corey is going to be joining us again next week. He'll be back. As of right now, we're planning for him. He's been away for 4 episodes now as of this week. So we're looking forward to welcoming him back and gearing up for a new season. We're only 2 weeks away, 2 more Schwabs away from getting that new season on May 11th. Guardian Games closing ceremony, of course, will take us right up to that, which seems like another season-ending event with everybody in the tower. Really looking forward to that. We haven't had one of those since just before Beyond Light. I'd really like to have another one of those with everybody. Some of the promo images in the trailer seem to use that same open space where we saw the Traveler awaken. So really hoping we get to go back there maybe for that closing ceremony or for the weekend ones. Looking forward to getting that glow this weekend. My character is an all-star. I've done platinum medals.
Oh boy.
I want to see what. Oh, dude, it's so easy. It's easier to get a platinum medal than it is to do a regular challenge card. It's not. That's not even a joke. It really is. That's how bad it is. But John, tell the people where they can find you.
They can find me on Twitter at A1Johnny with 3 N's.
3 N's. Just what a disgrace.
Just to make it harder. Trying to filter it out.
It's true. It definitely does. It's like John had like your name had like a drunken slur.
If you know me, it fits.
And of course, you can always find me on Twitter and Twitch as @Josh_Finn with 2 N's. And hey, we encourage you, be part of the show. If you've listened this long, please be a part of the show. Email us, towercasuals@gmail.com. Or hit us up on Twitter @TowerCasuals. We want to hear what you think. We especially want to hear what you think about Transmog, about shaders, about Nightfalls. What do you think about what we've discussed the last few weeks? We really, really, really want y'all's comments. We want to know what the community thinks. On the same wavelengths as us. What are you looking forward to in a feasible season of the Splicer? Which I would not be shocked if that ends up being fake. But what would you want from that? That would just be an uncanny coincidence to come out a week after that whole Season of the Plague fan thing that's happening.
Yeah, man.
That would be the most uncanny coincidence. But
let us know whether or not Hunters or Warlocks are going to come in second place in Guardian Games.
I'm actually very curious to see how this shakes out because, Hunters have dominated the first 3 days, it looks like. They are running away. That flag has been at full steam ahead.
There's a lot of y'all.
Hey,
sure.
We have already doubled our wins from last year. Thank you very much. So I like that. I like the whole weighting system. I just want to see if that actually helps or not. I thought it was weighted on who came in third daily. Maybe it ends up being weekly. I don't know. But I really want to see this. I want to see how this shakes out in the next 2.5 weeks or so.
Yep.
And, maybe we'll have to have the winning class on here.
And everyone remember, Guardian Games is a nothing event that's just supposed to be a little bit of fun. Don't take it too seriously and get all heated online. My lord, some people take this too seriously. We're just doing it for goofs and loot, babe.
Like we discussed last week, this is definitely, and I will say after playing the first couple days of this event, it is still the absolute weakest seasonal event that they do. If this does come back next year, like, I don't know, you have to completely overhaul how the whole thing works. It's not a bounty fest, but it is a grind fest right now. And I think to have something like this at the very end of a season, it's just rough. This feels like something that should be like 3 weeks into the season.
When everyone's doing everything else anyways, Yeah, definitely.
This is one of those that's rough, and I think they're still experimenting with it. But if you're going to have something to close out a season, if this is going to be your new seasonal schedule, I really think you should go back to something like the Revelry. But that's a topic for another time. We're going to bounce on out of here. Thank you again for joining us so much.
Thank you for having me.
Until next time, we'll see you Starside.